Mm.
Evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hey Vince, did you see the amount of hits on yesterday's video? It was very unusual.
Oh, no, I didn't. Um,
Up
the
to
one,
900 in a day.
the one I just put up this morning. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
that sounds like it'd probably be a bot then. Uh,
I thought because somebody mentioned the secret, something happened.
yes, I can't imagine 900 actual people looking at it. Yes, 795. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Mm. But it's kind of crazy because the number of people in the world, just you just don't know, and it'll only take Taylor Swift to put up something on one of her threads, and next thing it would be a million people or something. Yeah, yeah. But it's more likely to be, as we were talking earlier, one of the AI chatbots hunting for information. Uh, or whatever they use to gather the information to train the AIs. Hmm. Morning, Yvonne.
Good
Hello.
morning. Good evening. Good
Evening.
morning.
Yeah. Good whatever. We have to introduce a good whatever, don't we?
Yeah, good everything. Good everything, yes. I noticed last week you had your hand, because when I replayed the video, yeah, what's happened?
I've had a wrist replacement.
Whoa. Whoa, that sounds not nice.
Yeah. I asked for pictures of the operation, but they wouldn't give me any. So I don't know what it looked
That,
like inside.
that's
Hmm.
not a good sign.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll work better than what it used to.
Is it arthritis?
Yes. Mm.
So can they do that? What do they do? Take some of your wrist away and put you a new one, bit in?
Yeah. Yeah. But well, they replace it with a
Bionic.
prosthetic, a bit. Well, I'd like to think it was bionic, but I don't think so. Um, I was told that I wouldn't be able to lift more than 5 kilos with it. So
Oh, well, five
that's not
kilos.
very bionic. Mm.
No, but that's a bag of potatoes.
Yeah, well, I certainly won't be able to hang by my hand. My body
Do you
weight
do
is
that?
a little bit more than 5 kilos.
Do you often hang by your hands?
No, no. But sometimes I imagine I'm a monkey. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you always got the other hand too, so you can practice a
Yeah. Yeah.
one-armed
Yeah, you
hanging.
can make that one really strong. There's
You won't
always
be
a
able to call that
benefit.
by hook
It's
and
been
crook.
getting a lot more use for sure. I'm learning how to be left-handed.
That's good. That's good, because I had to do that. I had a problem with my right hand. And it's amazing. I was doing so many more things with my left hand that I never thought I'd be able to. It must be good for the brain.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I agree. Well, currently I can write, although I write very slowly and very shakily, I can write better with my left hand than my right hand.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
But I tell you, one finger typing is a pain. So although I can touch type with 10 fingers or 9 fingers, um, you can't touch type with one hand. So it's back to one finger typing.
Oh, yeah. So is it painful?
It's not painful now. No,
But it was to start with.
it was before the operation. Yeah.
Oh, good. So you're feeling better.
Yes. Yeah. And I
Okay.
get this cast off tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'll
Is-
go into a splint, but it'll be, at least I'll have better use of my actual hand.
And you haven't got writing on it.
No,
No,
no, it's got got bandages on it, so it's
oh,
yeah.
okay.
So how have you been? You're looking well.
Are you asking me?
Yes. Mm.
Well, I'm surprised myself by smiling like this because I am now sleeping in the other house on a small sofa because I feel like I'm sort of, there's some kind of saying when they say, like, oh, my house was much worse than your house. My life, yeah. It's like I'm trying to sort of top it all with how awful things can get. But 2 nights ago, I discovered I had maggots in my bed.
Oh dear.
Lots of, and I don't know where they've come from, other than maybe cats and rats. And yeah, so I've been cleaning and washing, and yeah, so a bit shocked actually by it all. But yeah, I thought, oh, I must join everybody and yeah, let it go. Although it does make me feel quite horrible and peculiar when I think about it. I've been sleeping probably for quite some time with maggots in the bed.
Not knowing they're there though.
No, because they're little white things. And I only noticed them because I had a brown shawl on top of my bed and I found this white thing. I thought, oh, what is it? I picked it up and it wriggled. I thought, whoa. And then I thought, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. So I shook my shawl. Then I saw there was another on the bed. The duvet cover had them on there too. So I took that off and then I looked at my sheet and there was even more on the sheet I was sleeping on. So I've been sleeping for I don't know how long with maggots in the bed. I don't know what they are. They could have come from the mattress or they could have come from the ceiling, maybe the rats. Maybe there's a dead rat upstairs and it's got maggots.
They're little white ones. Maggots would not be the right term. They were probably larvae of some other insect.
Yes, they're not maggots, but they look like maggots. They're maggots. And I don't know how
moth larvae, maybe.
Yes, but there were so many of them. I mean, I've been sleeping with a bed of, lots of them. It really makes me feel quite horrible. And so therefore,
sounds like the awakening.
Yes.
When you realize that your life is full of maggots everywhere, and you have no idea that they were there.
Sorry, do you think it'll give me an awakening? Think it might cause an awakening, you say? Is that what you said?
I think it remind me of the awakening process.
Do they mention maggots in the awakening process?
Maybe. I'm sure there is a book that uses this word. There is so many books out there.
Well, I am shocked, really shocked by what happened, and I'm.
I just Googled. I put what maggots are found in beds. If you've ever discovered little white or dark worms in your mattress, you might have a problem with mattress worms.
Yeah.
These organisms are actually the larvae of numerous insects such as fleas and carpet beetles. So I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but it's along the lines of what you were talking about.
What I've not understood is how can they get from the mattress all the way over to the sheets, into the next level and to the next level? So there were so many of them. I mean, probably hundreds.
Yeah, they
not
obviously
just 3 or 2. Yeah.
Did you, Yvonne, did you have the thought that your repulsion for them is not logical, it is purely a conditioned reflex?
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes. Yes, I've been observing this within myself. Yes. This reaction I've had from this feeling of, oh.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've done you no harm.
No, well, as far as I know, they haven't. Yeah. And really, I should say, well, that's kind. They've been keeping me warm.
Oh, well, that might be going too far, but yeah, yeah.
But I was thinking, you know, when I'm cleaning, I was thinking, I am the dust, I am the dirt, I am the maggots. I mean, you know, it is enlightening.
Yeah.
Could be.
I mean, if you knew what lived in your insides, you would be repulsed as well.
Oh, don't let me, don't. I
Who's
can't bear.
inside?
What?
Who's
Did you say?
inside, for that matter?
Who's inside? Well, I think Vince means all of our insides, doesn't he not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they literally there are more li- there are more life forms inside you than there are stars in the sky.
Yes. Yes.
And we are dependent on them, and yet they're not
Yes.
us. You know,
They're not us.
we have a
No.
symbiotic relationship with them,
That's right.
and we don't know about it. But if we did know about it, we would be repulsed because of our conditioning.
We would, because of our conditioning, indeed. I mean, I'm definitely been repulsed. Yes, and that is interesting. Hmm.
So there's nothing to do with that kind of information except to recognize that we are a product of a lifetime of conditioning, and particular kind of conditioning, and that we don't need to have an emotional reaction to that, but a recognition that it does exist is a link in something. It's a possible portal for liberation, to get free of that kind of conditioning,
Yes.
which I imagine never actually happens 100%. It can't. You know,
No, but it's interesting that I have woken up. I'm not woken up. Yes, no, I was about to go to sleep, and that I've been sharing my bed with hundreds of wiggly worms.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Sounds like you need to get a new mattress.
That mattress is definitely going to the déchetterie, as it's called in France. The rubbish dump. Déchetterie.
Yeah.
Not déchetterie. Déchetterie.
It's a bit the same thing, though, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But I feel the need to have precision, because Vince, you say we are accumulation of conditioning, something like this, you say?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we are, though, aren't we?
But-
We're all conditioning. We're totally
Well, that's
conditioned.
what do you mean by the we are?
We are. Are you asking that me? You're asking me that?
I'm asking Vince, because Vince said we are an accumulation of conditioning. So I'm a
I
little
was
confused.
using the we are in very loose social terms, though.
Okay.
So I was referring to this that we labeled the body. And the bacteria that lives in this body and other forms of life that are
A
actually,
microbiome. Yeah.
yeah,
As they call it now.
yeah, the biome, yeah. So I was just referring to the fact that it's another possible portal into recognition that there is no such thing as separation, that the whole idea of separation is just an idea, that everything is dependent on everything else and
Yeah.
part of the whole.
Yeah.
But even that's not a right way to say it in terms of parts, like when we
Yeah.
talk about parts. But there is this existence is entirely reliant on
Everything else.
other existence,
Yeah.
not self, yeah.
Yeah, we're not separate. No. I mean, like I was mentioning the other week when I disappeared into the kitchen sink and the cooker and the walls. So yeah, yeah. So we are everything, including the maggots. I find it difficult with spiders. I don't want to be the same with a spider. Does that sound ridiculous saying that? It does, really. I've just discovered myself saying something that sounds a bit silly.
Oh, but I get what you mean on one level, and there's also the recognition that spiders can do a lot of good things. You know, and do we call good things when they murder and eat mosquitoes? But you know, they do that amongst other
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
and if we had suddenly had no spiders in the world, it would upset the balance of things pretty severely.
Well, it'd be like losing the bees, wouldn't it? We would, yes, we would all suffer quite quickly after that. Yeah. I one of the reasons I'd find it difficult going to Australia is because your spiders there are so big.
But I can't remember the last time that I had an interaction with a spider or a
Wow.
snake or any of those nasties. They're there, but you don't see them, or they
You
don't.
don't live in the countryside then?
No, they are more prevalent in the countryside. I did live in the countryside before living here, and they certainly are more prevalent then, and you will see more of them. But again, not an issue. You know, they don't crawl over your face when you're in bed.
Oh.
Not often, anyway.
They do. They come and they drink out of your mouth.
I haven't experienced that one.
They like the water, so they come along, crawl over the face and drink. So I'm told. Anyway, I'm rather rambling. But thank you for letting me ramble. It's wonderful to see you all.
Yeah, you too. That's very welcome.
I have a sense, even if it's light talking and it's fine, but I still have a sense that the belief that the body is producing consciousness, it's very strong everywhere.
The body is producing consciousness, did you say?
Yeah, this belief is very
We-
strong.
So does you think the body produces consciousness? Isn't consciousness everywhere anyway?
I'm saying the belief that the body is
Belief.
producing consciousness is very strong.
Well, it's a theory. It's a theory
Yeah.
in neuroscience circles
Yeah.
that some people have. It's a theory, but any theory as to what it is, any ideas about what it is are some sort of theory or some sort of idea, whether it's from a spiritual perspective or material perspective or idealistic perspective, or I mean,
Yeah, but there is theory that much better our experience than others, even if every theory is inaccurate at the end.
Have you heard that guy Hoffman? Hoffman? Can't think of his first name. Donald
Daniel.
Hoffman.
Donald.
Is it
Donald.
Donald Hoffman? Yeah, he's interesting. I'm thinking about, well, it's mind blowing actually the things he says about consciousness and stuff, things. I can't repeat what he said because it's too clever for me.
In our
But we,
experience,
sorry?
in our experience, can we I don't know what this consciousness thing is. I have no idea about that. I mean, I do have ideas, but they're just ideas, and they don't really. I can't isolate something in my experience that I would call consciousness.
No. No, well, neither can I. Come when I think about it.
Yeah, I immediately end up in some kind of a soup when I try and even think about what do I experience that I would call consciousness. It can't be separated from other things.
Well, I mean, if I experience, I'm sorry, I keep going back to this. If I experience disappearing into the kitchen sink, and therefore everything must be conscious. There must be consciousness in everything. There must be nothing that's not conscious. But I mean, it's very difficult to talk to a stone.
Must be.
Well, no, okay,
Yeah,
could be.
You get off into, you're in fantasy land.
Okay, could be. Could I be saying that? Could be. Could be everything is conscious.
Well,
I mean,
it's a logical conclusion that you're getting. So it's a mental idea that you're bringing up, and how does that relate to your actual experience? So, if we wanted to describe your experience of disappearing down the sink,
no, I didn't go down the sink.
became the
I was the sink and the walls and the
okay.
cooker. There was no difference between.
So you straight away you realise the difficulty of trying to transmit your experience to anybody else. You can't explain it. You can't describe it accurately. It's an experience, right? And then so there you have that real difficulty with trying to communicate something that's really impossible to communicate, but you can refer to the fact that there was an experience. That's all. You know that there was, but to say what it was gets very difficult. But the moment because of the difficulty of trying to communicate what happened, you immediately get off into theories about what might be the happening. And that's not your experience. That's just ideas.
Yes, yes.
So, and one of those theories might be to talk about consciousness and being conscious and so on. And that's, again, it's just a story, you know, it doesn't relate to your actual experience, does it?
No. No, it's trying to work it all out, but yeah.
And there's a crazy thing is that this stuff leads us to experiencing subtlety in our daily life that we never used to. We always used to overlook it, take it for granted, and never investigated it. So that subtlety gets closer and closer to that kind of an experience that you had.
Yeah. Do you meditate, Vince?
No, I haven't meditated since I woke up.
Oh, really?
13 years ago, I used to meditate, and now I don't. Mm.
So you don't
I'm not
really.
against it. I don't know. I have no problems with it. I often think, oh yeah, it'll be good to meditate, but I kind of never get around to it. Life's
Yeah.
too, or something.
No, when you're talking about the subtleties, because when meditating, you can get into subtleties of one's existence. I mean, like feeling as though one's merging, or when I come out of a meditation, I look at my hands and they're like, well, those my hands? Well, I just look at hands and I'm not in them.
Mm.
Yeah.
So next time that
I think from
you go on.
I think I have the impression that you are stuck between two system of beliefs, and you try,
once
which
again.
is normal. You try to make some sense of your experience, which I think it's
Yes.
normal and it's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, like, my impression that you are holding the materialist perspective on your experience, and you're trying to match this materialist perspective with some experience that doesn't match with it. That's why you say words like I was in the sink, I was in that. Everything is conscious. There is conscious in them. This way of speaking is revealing that you are holding, that there is objective objects existing out there, that if you are aware of them or not, they're still there.
Yeah, but you've just reminded me that sometimes when I go into when I go quite deeply in meditation, and I suddenly have this feeling like I am in it and it is in me. I get this real strong feeling that, and that's the only way I can describe it. Whatever it is, I am in it and it is in me. And I don't know why. It sounds. It's just an experience, yeah.
Yeah, but that's fine, and I'm aware that when you speak about those kind of experiences, it always sounds dualistic and things there and me there. So I'm not criticizing language.
No, I know.
But
I know.
I invite you to really explore how do you know that there are objects out there. What is your direct evidence of that concretely?
Yes, because when people talk about when they become enlightened, there's no separation, there's no space between objects, and once it all becomes flat.
Yeah, but this is well speaking, but you can explore it.
Yeah.
When you say space, what is your direct experience of space, for example? Really, not conceptually, but what is your actual experience of space? And and this is the way you can make it really concrete and applying it in your day-to-day life. But I would watch very closely your belief in a materialistic understanding of the world and the universe.
Yes. Thank you.
So how I would put this, Yvonne, or what I would say is, next time you come out of meditation and you have that experience with your hands, right, in the beginning, the novelty of that is going to have you going, oh, look at that. Wow, that's amazing, But when the novelty kind of settles down a little bit, if you were to examine your experience not of the hands not belonging to you or
Yeah.
the activity of them, but rather examine the connection
Yeah.
that there is between you and your hands, right? Or examine the process of observation. Right? So look at the seeing
Yeah. Yeah.
or the
I mean,
feeling.
I think I do that, but it's it's difficult. Yeah, because there's one's in a kind of thing I mentioned, this a sort of stillness.
Yes.
So in that stillness, yeah, there's not a lot of thought. I just but there's looking, but then the thought comes.
But part of what might spontaneously happen, what David's referring to, I think, is that there is an attempt to
Yeah.
explain what's happening by
Yeah.
objectifying. And
Rationalize.
it's that
Yeah.
objectifying that is, that produces the objective world, whereas, and it's a process that happens. It's a process in you that happens that turns things into a separate object.
Yes. Yes.
So we're looking at the process rather than at the objects.
Yes.
It's very good with this connection. How you are connected with anything, really.
Yes.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yes.
That's very good. And what you can do if you are in very deep meditation, instead of coming back like at once, you can try to take one sound, or one sensation, very light sensation, or a very light sound, and you have this stillness, and you take just the slightest sound possible, and you just bring, instead of having the feeling that the stillness is going to the sound, or you are kind of collapsing again, you stand in stillness and you try to bring the sound into the stillness, trying to bring it inside.
Yes. Yes.
And after you bring a sensation, and you bring this, and you bring that, and you bring this, trying to do the reverse kind of process.
Yes. Yes, I sometimes do that with aeroplanes. I do feel quite envious, though, of people who they hear a bus going by and they suddenly become the bus. I mean, the sound. I mean, yeah.
But this is imagination, leave people alone, leave others alone in their experience. You have no idea what others are living,
Yeah, leave people alone. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow.
I have a question, David. So you were saying bring the sound into the stillness, right? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
So if it's all just one here, how do you bring anything in if it's arising within? Or I didn't follow that.
It's a way of speaking, because obviously everything it's the same. But what happens, it's like we often feel that we are here somewhere, and then you go into some kind of meditation, and it's maybe even inside the brain or inside the body, or maybe somewhere else, and suddenly you come back here, and then there's a lot of confusion about what, because we that's what I was trying to say. There is a very strong ingrained belief that is very deep in us that the body is making this experience happening, or the brain or something inside the body is making your experience appearing. So we still believe there is often the misunderstood that when you go into deep meditation, this stillness, it's somehow inside the body again, or the body is making it, and things like confusion like this. but in fact, it's kind of the completely reverse. There is stillness, and into the stillness, there is things happening. And you can feel in the body, or you can feel whatever. You can bliss, you can have suffering, you can have everything. But it's a complete reversal of what is actually happening in your direct experience. So if for you it's an evidence that there is only stillness, of course, what I'm saying make no sound, no sense.
Thank you.
So I'd like to go back to Yvonne's experience with the bus going past. Now, let's say you're inside the house and you don't see the bus. There is only a sound that you recognize as a bus going past, right?
Yeah.
If you were able to shut off the mind and allow the sound to, or appreciate the connection between you and the sound, right? The sound becomes you. You become the sound, in the sense that you will not just be hearing the sound, but you will feel the sound as well. Those two senses will run together quite easily with the sound, right? So there won't be a sound and you. There will be just sounding, just the process of sound vibrating. And that's what your experience will be. There will be no story that that sound is produced by a bus going past. That's only a story, that part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we eliminate the mental distraction from the process and fully experience the process of what's happening? And so what we know is sound is air vibrating, and the ears pick it up and the brain turns it into sound, and that's another story. But that's
but this is the materialistic story, because there you are saying there is a physical brain, and the brain is making the experience, and then you believe that you are inside the brain. This
No,
is why
but
I don't like to frame it
this
that
is
way.
the story. This is important. We're recognizing that that's a story that we use to help us appreciate the physical experience. Well, and as soon as I said physical experience, I kind of pulled back. But the experience that of sound, sounding happening. That if you eliminate the ideas about it and just you are even to say you are the sound is wrong, because that kind of objectifies the whole thing as well. It's like there is an activity or an energy, or however you want to put it. There is just that.
Yeah.
The trick question, like, is exactly what Vince said, is when there is a sound, but you can do it with the sensing and all of the perception sense. It's first, can you find in the hearing, can you find a you in the hearing? Can you find yourself in the hearing itself? And the second is, can you find an object like the bus? Can you find the bus inside the hearing? And to get rid of the brain, you can search. Can you find an object, an entity, a thing that is translating all of this, the sound into something? Can you find a space between the sound? There is some vibration, there is something translating it. Can you find this process? And you will see you cannot find it. Only in thought. Thought will tell you there is air, there's vibration, the brain do this or do that or whatever. But you cannot find it in your experience. So it's a supposition. It's a theory, it's an imagination. But I think what this is pointing is very, very interesting to explore.
Yeah.
Oh, have you been, Louise?
Hey there. I was really
Sorry? So how have you been? Oh, you're frozen.
oh,
Oh, you're back now. Yeah.
yeah, I haven't got great Wi-Fi. I'll give it one more chance.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just enjoying that. I was quite absorbed in that. I was re-listening to your not last meeting, the meeting before. I love re-listening. And you talked about shadow work. And I suppose I have a question. Maybe give me some guidance. Somebody has recommended I do some work. I was in a 8-year relationship, which I was in it far too long. A lot of denial and just didn't realize what was going on. And I just wondered whether shadow work would be a good kind of option. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably no simplistic answer to that. The way I would describe shadow work being required is not right either, but yeah, the appropriateness of shadow work is when we seem to be stuck in something and it's a reoccurring pattern that happens for us. So it's obviously got roots that are much deeper than just habitual stuff. Yeah, then shadow work is appropriate. Right, so if without knowing the details, and I construct a story that says, if your relationship was toxic and it wasn't your first relationship of that nature, then there'd be a good chance that, yeah, that's the kind of relationship you get into because you're trying to resolve something that's pretty deep. That's the kind of, that would indicate it. And if now you're having trouble letting go of that, if there are elements of that relationship that plague you now, then that could well be another indicator of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be circular. It seems to be like unfolding of reality that was covered. I mean, this is intertwined with sobriety over 3 years. So there's a lot of different things.
Yeah, well, addiction
Yeah, I mean,
often rests on
there's
that, you know?
addiction. Yeah, and I was doing some of Pernille's work around. One of the biggest things was seeing the distractions and diversions. I don't mean just with alcohol, but all kinds of things.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that unfolding. Like there hasn't been, there's been a lot of discovery over the last year or so, and just recently has been, I would say, more emotional suffering, which was quite surprising, and some triggers that have come. The story is, it seems like it's going backwards, but I think it's just another. There's just more opportunity to see. It feels quite confusing. Like it feels like the relationship, the alcohol. I struggle with my autistic son. That triggers. So today, let me just bring it back to maybe more of the experience. So today there was a lot of moments of experience being seen to be in and out, like as in and out is just a term, like that suffering was there, and then I noticed that it wasn't there, and then it came back, but it was different. It was saying different things. And then I would see it was a story, and it would kind of loosen a bit, and it would go. But the pull back to that story was quite strong, to the point of, and when I said emotional suffering hasn't been there for a while, like I think it's just been more kind of I wouldn't say suicidal. They're just like, what's the point? Kind of.
Yep.
I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. That kind of. Yeah, I mean that's not how it feels now, but that's where it's kind of been going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of confusion. I'm really enjoying listening to these conversations because I can follow. There's a resonance, and I can resonate with what people are saying. But when it comes to explaining what's going on here, I get quite confused.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my inclination is to say yes, it would be good to do some work at that level. Have you got a good therapist you can work with?
Yeah, I think I can. I think I could probably do some work with them. Yeah. I do some. I've been doing that over the last year and a bit. Is some somatic experiencing work, which has been quite amazing. Which is discovering the language, the sensations of the body, and I mean, I've never ever been taught to do that before, ever. So when you speak about sensations, and I can relate to that a lot more. Yeah, I sometimes I think there's just too many. Sometimes I just want to, like, you're talking to John Lee about seeking. I think I'm just trying to find something.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm trying to dip into too many things, and sometimes just leave it. Just leave everything. I'm just done.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. You know, we can certainly get scattered trying everything, but yeah, so I see you with a range of tools, and you're using some, but you're kind of quickly putting down one tool and picking up another one, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some intense focus on what's happening, I think, would be a good thing for you to track down, let's go in one direction and stay in that direction until we get somewhere. But also it's a tool thing as well, and that is that we're trying to fix something is not the way to go. Trying to
No.
it usually leads us to avoiding and escaping rather than actually getting anywhere. And so, because trying to fix something is always about the future, it's always about how we will be, or what could be, or what, so it takes us into fantasy land really easily. So the skill to develop is to be present, to get into what's happening now always. And chasing that is the direction to go. So we're moving towards what's going on rather than away from it.
Yeah. So that reminds me of so I have a son who's 17. He's quite severely autistic, and there's triggers, a lot of triggers come up, and I was listening to your conversation actually as something was happening the other day, and it's like everything just slowed down, and I saw there was a bit of space around the situation, and I felt the sensation. It was anger. There's anger. I felt like it was anger. There was certainly a big contraction. And then there was a lot of guilt and shame and regret, empathy. It was just like a whole bunch of things. But I remember thinking, I don't think I can ever stop this feeling. I can't stop this anger coming up when this happens.
Well, you
It
can't
felt
stop
so.
it. Right. You
Yeah.
can't stop it. No, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because it's your friend. It's trying to look after you. And so the anger is a way of avoiding fear. And fear will sit on top of terror, and terror will sit on top of shame, and shame will sit on top of guilt. And so that you down that direction is a direction that's appropriate to examine. I mean, that's a very general thing that I say, and of course everybody's unique and different in their own way with that. But yeah, to say, oh, I feel angry and I shouldn't or I won't, is crazy talk. It's you don't have control over that stuff. It's there because it's there, and to try and avoid that just adds another layer of defensiveness on top of it.
Yeah. So when you say that, and when I had the thought, there was a brief moments of thought of sitting with that, and that just almost felt sick. It was very I can feel it now. Just feels like it will never go. That feeling, that clenching, that sensation will never go away. It feels very serious and very heavy.
Yeah, of course.
And I feel like I've given up on my son, and I'm not. All that stuff. And I hear a lot to sit with that feeling or with that sensation, and that brings about I don't know what it is. It's just that I feel really uncomfortable. I just want to run. I just want to go. I couldn't possibly. Yeah, I don't know. It feels locked. It feels very locked.
I'm I just want to have a one-to-one session with you.
Okay.
That's my feeling. It's huge stuff, absolutely huge. What you're facing there, and I get
Well, that alone is quite helpful. So that's good. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, email me and
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank
just,
you.
I'm feeling quite emotional, and anyway, but part of me says this is probably not the forum to begin that stuff. Later on maybe, but at the moment,
No,
because
that's great.
not that it's inappropriate here, but intensely personal stuff, and we need to bare our soul really big time.
Yeah. I love these meetings. I get so much from just listening as well. So
Yeah, good.
Okay, I'll email you. Thank you.
David, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Earlier on, you had mentioned something related to the visual field and objects. And there was like a moment where I really felt like everything I was seeing was in my face, like right at my nose. Like there was no distance between what I was seeing. So it was like I was up against the wall looking at everything. And I've been sitting here trying to feel into that again. That sort of sense of depth isn't there. It's just everything is right up to your face, right in your eyesight. And is there anything you could say or guidance to kind of help me see that more clearly?
Well, you had some kind of experience, and then the memory is trying to make sense of it. So it's talking about a face and eyes, because there is this strong belief that there is light that shine up an object out there. The light travel through space. This light hit your eyes, by behind of the retina. This light is transferring to some kind of electricity that's going to the brain, and the brain is picturing something, right? This is a story. So do you have an experience of your eyes right now?
No.
So you have an experience of your face.
No.
But there is sight. You have an experience
They're
of
seeing.
sight, right? There is seeing.
Yeah, they're seeing.
So seeing is there. So seeing is there. Can you find a me in the seeing? Only the seeing. Can you find a me? A source?
No, in seeing, there's just seeing.
In seeing, there's only seeing. And if you take any object that you are seeing right now, is what is this color, these shapes, this information is contained into the seeing? Is the seeing telling you this is a wall, this is this is that? This information is contained within sight?
No. Nothing is contained within sight. It's
There's
just
only
that's all thought.
Okay, so be clear with that. Clear, there is thinking, which is another aspect of experience, and there is the actual seeing right here, right now.
Mm.
So if you cannot find a me, and if you cannot find an object out there, tell me how far is the seeing from you? I think it's, in theory, it works very well. But if you explore very, very sensitively, it doesn't hold. It doesn't hold.
There's a sensation, like, David, it's like, you know, when you go to the cinema and you put on 3D glasses and everything starts to come out at you? There's a sensation like something like that. But it's not everything coming out to you, it's me going into everything. I don't know, it's just...
Yeah, it's fine, you know, you both are really the same, you know, because there is no you and there is no there. So you can think about it both ways. It doesn't really matter. What matters is to actually experience it in the moment and to try to become sensitive with our experience as it is, and not as thoughts. It's always interpreting it constantly. And don't hold memories, you know, you had something, so you know somehow how to explore it in a way. But don't try to make it happen again, because you are playing the thinking game again. Just stay always with what is right here. And you thought, yeah, but I had something, yeah, but it's dead. I have this now. I don't have thought, I have this, that is right here. So explore it.
Yeah, but I find the guiding, what you're doing, very helpful to return to direct experience quickly, because I could start thinking about it for a week, you know, which is good that you've kind of guided me back to it.
There
Because I was looking.
is two traps. There is two traps when you explore a perception. First is the thinking, that really put a whole materialistic beliefs upon experience, and after it will put space and all of that, and memory. But if you are careful enough, like you are, it's good. You know, you will say, this is a thought, but what is sight? What is sight? And you can keep exploring. And the second trick, it's you will often see there is no me, but there is sensation, right? You say, okay, there's no eyes, but I kind of feel a sensation, right? It is something that's very subtle, but after you can ask yourself, does the sensation is a sensation of the eyes? It is that is seeing? It is a sensation that is seeing, or not? No. So there you can put a division. Okay, there is sight and there is a sensation.
Because I could feel the eyes and I could feel the eye and the muscle and the strain as a sensation, and then I was able to see that that's not seeing, that's something separate. They're not connected.
Exactly, it is there, but it's not. The sensation doesn't cause the seeing.
No, but the mind comes in on top. The mind comes in between the sensation and the seeing and goes, now look, you're straining to see, and it just brings it all together into the illusion.
Yeah. Hey, but look, do that and laugh. Laugh and explore, you know, it's beautiful.
And the seeing feels very easy. It's clear. It's simple. It's not straining to see. It's, you know, it's just fresh.
Yeah, beautiful.
So that
If you feel this energy of strain and concentration, stop doing it. Go watch a movie, do something fun, you know. It has to be pleasant, curious, and relaxing. If it is like I have to, it's over. You are
Yeah.
it's not the moment to do it. Just wait a day, an hour, a minute, whatever time it takes, that you feel again like, oh, this is interesting again. Well, do it. And when it's strain of trying techniques and things, just drop it.
And the way I describe the guidance is it's like trying to rub your own foot. You know, it's not great, but it's getting so. But when someone else rubs it, you can just sit back and relax. That's like the guiding. I could just be chilled, and you're doing yeah. It's faster.
So I've got something that satisfy the mind about this, and that is that your experience when it was in your face, that experience was a moment when mind wasn't involved. So if you appreciate that distance is mind created. Right? So when you look at a television set, how come some things look close and some things look further away? When in fact, if you go to the side of the television set, you see it's flat, and everything, even the distant stuff and the close stuff, is all in exactly the same distance from your physical eye. You know, they're not further away. It's just your mind creates the distance.
That's a cool analogy, Vince. Yeah. Yeah. The telly flat. Yeah.
What we do all day, every day, our mind creates distance. And the way it does it, the technique that it uses is the things that are further away are smaller and things that are closer are bigger. And then we translate that into meters or feet or whatever you use. Yeah. That's how we create distance. It's all done by the mind. And so your experience was a mindless experience for a moment. You need to still be able to use the mind. You need to still do that. Otherwise you can't drive a car or go to the fridge. But, you know, but nevertheless, it's recognizing reality is a huge thing. Absolutely huge. Yeah.
But there was something, a thought came up afterwards, like claustrophobia, because it really felt like I was standing up against the wall like this, going, Jesus, there's no room in here.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Well,
was
that's
like
the mind
that.
again, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, mine goes in afterwards. But what I find funny is, and I want to play with it, because I'm not wearing the glasses, the mobile phone in front of me. The room is clear. Everything is crystal clear, but the phone is blurred. And I'm like, how's the phone blurred when everything else is clear? I suspect my mind is doing something to blur the screen because I think my eyesight this and this, you know, and I'd love to play with that to see what's actually going on there.
Exploring. But you know, sight is always blurry. Right now, the screen is very sharp, but all of the object around is very blurry. But the mind ignored that. No. Everything is very sharp because when I look here, it's sharp. And I look here, it's sharp. But the fact is the the clearness is very small. It's very, very small. Everything is blurry around.
Oh yeah, you
And
mean when you're focusing
in fact,
on...
because if I unfocus my eyes, I have two images, right? If I relax the muscles of my eyes, I have two images, right? I can kind of, so everything is blurry. So to have a kind of to see clearly, I have to do some tension already. I have to, you know, I have to orient toward one point.
Yeah.
But even when I orient toward one point, this is sharp, but everything around it's blurry. And in fact, there is even holes in it. but the mind is completing everything.
Yeah,
What I
filling in the
see,
blanks.
it's not really what I see. It's already thinking in a way. But keep exploring, you know, it's and have fun.
Guys, is it just me or is the sound patchy for anyone else, or is it just mine? Everyone is patchy when they talk.
It's just you.
Okay, I'm gonna leave and join again, see if I can get a better signal. Thanks for that, David.
I think
In
it's
my
very
experience,
interesting for. Oh, sorry, Ramis, go ahead.
go on.
No.
I want to say that in my experience, the looking is different from attention. I don't know, like maybe there is a question here. It's interesting.
Dennis, if you want a little exercise to help with that, am I hearing a wind?
It's from Ramesh.
Oh, Dennis, just go outside. You have to go outside. You can't do this inside. Go
Yeah.
outside, sit in the lawn chair where you can see some trees and you can see the sky beyond. You really need some distance,
Yeah.
even though it's fictional. And just imagine that it's all right here, right in front of you, because it figuratively and almost literally is. That's the exercise. Now, if it actually ever seems like it's right here, like a two-dimensional painting, it's not yet complete. Because when the belief collapses completely, there's no more location. Because if there's still a landscape painting right here, that's still 2 dimensions. That's still depth perception. It's just short depth perception. The actual collapse of the belief, there will be no distance because there will be no location of you to say there's up, down, left, right. So what you're seeing is a partial collapse of the belief if it's all right here. When it collapses completely, it will be like the 3-dimensional experience you touched on momentarily. It'll be like you're everywhere.
Yeah,
that's what that's what I felt like. I got a micro glimpse of that. I was moving into the space to become the space, the phone, the wardrobes, the wall. It was like 3D, something different, but it's very, very, very just a little grain of salt of a glimpse or something. But I'll definitely practice it. And just and I'm a third of the way through that book as well that you told me to get.
Okay, good. That'll help. But that little exercise will bring it home for you. I think it did for me.
Give it a go. Thanks.
What was the exercise? I missed it.
Go sit outside where you can see some trees and the sky beyond it. Just imagine that it's right here, that it's a landscape painting right here in front of your nose. What you are actually kind of imagining is more close to the truth. Because the fiction is that everything's out there. You're imagining the truth, which is everything's not out there. It's a thorn to remove a thorn in a way. You're imagining that everything is right here, that there is no depth perception, that the trees aren't out there, they're right here, that the sky isn't beyond the trees, the sky is right here. That's the exercise.
How do you go the extra little step that you're talking about to remove the what do you call it, the horizontal and the up and down?
When it collapses completely, it'll remove.
How?
There's no explanation. I can't explain it to you.
Just
there will be no starting point to say that there's still 2 dimensions. In other words, to say there's a landscape painting right here, to say I'm right here and there's a landscape painting right here. The collapse of the belief of depth perception leaves you located nowhere and everywhere at the same thing, and that's not a contradiction.
Yeah, but
Without depth perception, you are not located anywhere, which is how children view the world. It's just one big thing for them. I'm sorry, Vince, go ahead.
Yeah,
Interrupted you
there,
twice.
there is an explanation. So what we're actually talking about is six fetter stuff here. And one
Yeah.
of the exercises used in that is to look at what's ahead of you, what you're focused on straight ahead, and recognize that there is blurry impressions on the side of your vision. So you've got clear vision about what's straight in front of you, and on the side out here you have an impression more than anything, right? And then what you do is you slowly turn your head towards one of those impressions, and as soon as it comes into focus, what you'll see is your mind will snap a label on it. It will just go boom, and that then becomes a thing. Right? So what this whole thing is about is recognizing the involvement of the mind in this. So we create our relationship to an object with the mind, and the most blatant way we do that is by putting a label on it. And as soon as we put a label on it, we have a different relationship to it than we did when it was a blurry thing in the edge of our vision. So when we recognize that there is the mind creating a blur into an object, then you focus on that object and you look for, and here's where you use your imagination a bit, you look for something that emanates from you to that object. And if you kind of get into it, there'll be an impression of a kind of a, almost like a Spider-Man thread being sent out to that object. And once you can get a feeling of that, then look for one coming back from the object to you. And you do that by looking for what part of your body does the emanation of that thread start, and then when it comes back, what other part of the body, it'll be a different part of the body that'll hit when it comes back to you, right? And then you get that, you recognize with that exercise that this is a mind produced thing. The whole idea of distance is mind produced. And so by recognizing that, you leave yourself in the possibility of it not happening. So when you had that in your face experience, Dennis, that was a spontaneous version of the same thing. Right? Mind was not involved, or at least it was only a little bit involved. As David was saying, when the mind's not involved at all, you'll have that experience of Yvonne sink. You know, you'll become the sink, or you'll become the wall, or the wall will become you, or, you know, neither will work, but both will work to describe it, you know, but essentially there'll be no separation. Yeah. So to appreciate that all of the separation is mind induced.
Just a bit psychedelic, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, pretty easy to have that kind of experience if you take mushrooms.
It's very interesting. If you take, they did experiences in the brain that I don't like to talk about, but I'm talking because I like contradiction, apparently. Like, a lot of people believe that when you take a mushroom and you have a psychedelic experience, your brain must be all light up, right? It must be like the brain is going firing everything all around and everything. But they did tests, and it is the opposite. When you take mushroom, the brain activity goes down, the cognitive brain goes completely down. So in fact, the less brain you have, the more psychedelic your experience is. So, you know, that you can just completely let go of the brain and it's fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, so the brain is kind of filtering in some way.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's why I don't like to speak about the brain, because after there is this strong thing that there's an entity which is filtering things, which you cannot find. So it's a bit tricky. Even if the brain map it have a lot of tools. It's great to speak about it, but it's a bit tricky.
Yeah, because there is no experience of a brain.
Absolutely.
It's just a concept, it's an idea, the story is people have wrote thousands of books on a thing that
Exactly. Yeah.
we've never experienced.
And check your doctrines of the brain, you have no experience of the perceiving apparatus, which is eyes, nose, mouth, and ear. It's not there.
Is attention illusion?
I don't know really what you mean about attention. I think attention, you have to define, be more precise. But I think the one thing that can be misleading with attention is that it's, from my perspective, it seems to be that we can give your attention to something and to let something else not be attended to, which is kind of an assumption that what you are not aware of exists somewhere, which is a belief. I think at some point you experience this here and that's it. You don't even need the word attention. Like what you're not aware of, how do you know that is there?
I mean
Yeah.
more like subtle, like I can look at you, but I can focus my attention on Dennis, for example. It seemed different.
Is that a thought though? Very subtle thought.
I don't know. It just
Because I'm noticing the same thing, Ram, as what I'm noticing at the minute is once there's just seeing, right? Once there's just seeing, there's no thinking. There's no problems in the world. There's nothing. Thought creates all the problems. All the problems are in thought. Even your description of looking and seeing and focusing, it's all just thought overlaid very subtly onto seeing. There's nothing happening in seeing except seeing.
Yeah. So recognize that we're in a rather interesting place here. We start out this journey with recognizing that pretty much all of our thoughts lead us astray. Our thoughts are the problem, so to speak, that cause the suffering. Any suffering involves thought. And so we start off with debunking the value of thought. But when we've done that, we're on a spiral. We've come a full 360 degrees, but we're on a different level, and we start to get to this stuff where we're talking about where thought creates distance. Now, thoughts create objectivity. Thoughts create the world. Thoughts create everything. Right now, in the beginning, we're going to say, "Oh, well, that's not so good." But we're very close to where it's really good. It is really good. We need to do that. We need to be able to have distance. We need to be able to use thoughts in an appropriate or an adaptive way. So we've gone from them being totally bullshit now to being quite useful. But just recognizing that that's what we're doing with them changes the way we experience things. We no longer see the world as separate from us. We see it as a thought construction. and that separation is also a thought construction. And that's both useful and not useful, depending on the circumstances. It's useful when you're driving that you don't run into things, but it's not useful when you think that that person is separate from me and that they're an arsehole. So it gets much more complicated as well. But, you know, this whole journey is about thought and our relationship to it.
Yeah, I like the fact that if you're established in seeing, it's like you're anchored in seeing, so thought can be noticed quite much more easily because you're anchored in seeing. So you can see, you can notice thoughts, creating the problems, creating the distance, creating the stories. Then I was thinking, seeing and touching again are kind of quite neutral sensations or observing, but then there could be reactions. Again, that's more thought. Thought seems to be the ringmaster, the conductor of the symphony.
Well put. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it seems like direct experience is without thought. Like your experience of the in your face thing is without thought. But when we get around the next 360 degrees and up to the next level of the spiral, you'll discover that your sensations are just thought. What you take to be physical is still thought. In fact, everything is thought, but nothing is thought.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of dissecting this all down into seeing, feeling, smelling, hearing, and like the book says, when you're feeling something that you're calling solid and round, the actual sensation, it has none of that in it.
Yep.
You're adding all that as thoughts and as, you know, laid down patterns in the mind. It's just thought, because the sensation is the sensation, and it's impossible to describe.
Mm.
It's when they come together, it's a really good illusion that I'm still caught in.
The whole world is conceptual. That's why they say that. Everything you think is real, in a sense, is conceptual. When you keep going in direct experience or keep going down the rabbit hole, ultimately, it's like Vince is saying, it's all boils down to a concept or a thought attached to something. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Because there's very little happening here. Like someone will come along and go, well, what about the starving children in Sudan? And again, that's not here. That's a concept. But at the same time, if I found myself in Sudan in front of people, I'm sure I would act and do something in that moment that was appropriate. But to sit here and suffer over a concept, crazy. And the amount of stuff that isn't real that we suffer over is unbelievable.
You're getting it, mate. You're getting it. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Every time a Save the Whale commercial comes on, I send them money.
There you go. You just responded to what's in front of you. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. You can be walking by a homeless guy and thinking, I'm not giving him anything, and next time your hands out with a fiver, and you're like, what the? Yeah.
One thing that I find very interesting what you say is like the population which is suffering from physical things, lack of food, wars, and everything, they're kind of in a difficult place. And the people like us that live in abundance feel too much guilty to really live in peace. So at the end, no one is enjoying, anything. It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have it, if you have it, you have a duty to at least fucking enjoy it. Jesus.
But
Vince,
yeah,
when you
it's
said
always what is right here, always. Just this that is here, constantly. Excuse me, John, I interrupted.
I just sharing what showed up when Vince said everything's a thought, and I've heard it before, but it kind of hit. And then I was like, oh, what about my loved ones? Their thought as well. And then that brought up a lot of sadness. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
what
And
do I do?
the sadness was thought too.
Oh shit.
But I think it's a misunderstanding because, for example, if you have a beautiful dream, something happened very beautiful, and you woke up in the morning and you realize, oh, it's just a dream, but the feelings stay. You see, the realization or the clear understanding that the past experience it wasn't there doesn't remove the appreciation that you have or the love that you have. So it's not like you lose something. You have nothing. What is important, you will not lose it.
No. And John, I've had that. I know what you're talking about, that sadness. And to me, that sadness as it melts just turns into love. It's like a fist that's clenched, and as it opens, it feels painful. But as it's relaxed, it's just love, and nothing is lost. In fact, for me, so much more is available.
Yeah, the question arises, what do I do now with it? Is the answer do nothing? Feel? Okay.
With what, the emotion?
Yeah.
Oh, for me, it's feel it. Yeah, to me, that's the answer to that. But yeah, I find those things fully felt, transformed.
Like even the
It's more
idea that you go, mine was erroneous.
I was just going to say the idea of your loved ones, which is just an idea, and that idea has always created a sort of separation between you and them. It's that idea that's dissolving and dying, and there's a sadness, and to me, it's just dissolved into love and clears itself out, and then there's a freshness to life.
My thought was even my experience of you guys, that's just an idea. You guys don't really exist. You're just this.
That's true in a direct experience inquiry. As soon as you turn the computer off, we no longer exist. In a direct experience inquiry. Now, so I can sit here and say, oh, I have a life and I went to school and I did all of this. And when you turn the computer off, to you, that I don't exist anymore because I'm not in your sense field. That's what, and it sounds simple, but people don't get that. That's what the whole point of all the exercises and the simplistic exercises is, to get you to see just what is here and not storyland. But once you see that, storyland becomes a lot more comfortable. You know, once you see that everything is just a concept out there, it's a certain more relaxation with the conceptual world out there, however it is. Your loved ones will still be there. As a practical matter, nothing changes. You tend to take people a little less seriously, I would say. But I think everybody could use a good dose of that anyway.
Definitely.
What you point to, Paul, I think it's very interesting. And you can, the main thing that to me it has removed, it's the authority issue. Because when you see that, when people come to you and speak and say, whatever, I have peak experience, bliss, or suffering, or whatever it is, you have no access to that experience anyway. So it's nice, you take whatever you can try whatever people say, okay? But there's no authority issue. The authority is my experience, it is right now, and no one has more authority than me to speak about it. And it's end of story. So the whole thing of comparison, where I am, this one is doing this one is having some flat experience or whatever, it makes no sense. I mean, I have no idea what other people have. They are lying, they're not lying, you have no idea. So you just take what is useful for you and you don't think about anyone. If people is not there, you don't have to think about them, and you don't have to do anything about it. And that's very, I think it gives a lot of freedom, and the whole authority just leaves you very fast.
It's sobering, David, yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's just sounds and seeing. Whatever someone's saying, I had a experience, I saw 50 angels and I went through 6 tunnels of the hell realm. It's just sound and vision. But if we get into the story of it, you're like, oh, I feel like I'm lacking. They have something I don't. We're back, as Vince says, we're back in storyland. And the reality is it's just sound and seeing. And there's a freedom here when that's seen clearly.
I have to say, you're sounding very awake, Dennis.
I'm still waiting on that shift, Vince. I don't know if that shift doesn't happen.
What is a shift, Denise? Without using what other people has told you about what a shift is and what you have read about what is a shift. Tell me what is a shift.
Yeah, it's good catch, David. Actually, it's just sounds when I said that this shift.
It's just another version of your in-your-face experience. It comes with a different story, that's all.
Yeah, but right now, from clarity, it's just sound. It's not even a story. That's even going too far. I haven't had the shift.
Do you
Yeah,
agree that this instant is all there is? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So if you have a shift, having a shift implies that you compare it with something. Otherwise, you cannot say something has changed. So the shift already implies that you have a reference point. So even if there is a shift, with what you will compare it?
Yeah, no, this time was different. When I said, oh, I haven't had this shift, it had no strength behind it. And then it could quickly enough see us just sound in this space of clarity. And I feel like that anchoring in seeing is like, it's like using one reference point to see the futility of thought and what it can do to you if you let it.
If we use the concept of a place, and if let's say a shift is we've moved from one place to another, just a story about that might describe what a shift is, right? If you take this clarity that you're experiencing now and compare it to what your experience was a year ago.
Don't even remember a year ago. I can't even remember yesterday.
Okay, so can you remember that at some point in the past you did not have this clarity?
Yes, very much so. I can remember emotion, frustration. Actually, it was at the start of the call. I can remember it from the start of the call. Yeah.
Okay, so when you say that you were there when you did not have it, and now you are here and you did have it, isn't that not a definition of a shift? It just didn't happen in an instant. It was over a longer period of time, but it's still a different place. So therefore it's still a shift. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm just trying to get you to see that is it the shift that you're talking about has to have a feeling like an epiphany, and it has to happen in a condensed, compressed form that is
Yes.
got wow involved in it.
It has to be a snap. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you just had the boring kind of shift that snuck up on you, that's all.
It's very strange because my sensation is that people who speak about, because I have no idea what people live and what a shift is, you know, because it's about sensitivity, really, when you speak about a shift, you know. But I think it's people who speak about those peak experience. It's often a sign that the lack of sensibility that they are having. They are so insensitive that when something sensitive come in their space, they feel like it's amazing. But in fact, the more sensitive you are, the less it's very smooth, you know.
So the
It's
more
kind of
sensitive you are, the less
yeah,
shifty you look.
yeah, and really, I will tell you that at some point, who cares? You know, it's all mental masturbation about awakening and shift and all of this. It's really meaningless.
Yeah. Because when the mind is quieter and quieter, and I imagine it went quiet for a microsecond when I felt that flatness, but it's still quite quiet. And when it's quiet, there's just clarity, and then there's clarity to respond and clarity to talk, and it's not tiring and it's not emotional, and it's just
Is there enough clarity
yeah.
to see that other stuff comes and goes, that this comes and goes, that nothing is static, everything is always in flux? So you can have
Yeah,
clarity
that's
now to
my
see that you can be unclear in the future for moments and then back to clarity again, or the other way around.
yeah. And the only bug in the system when that's happening is that when you're not clear, you have the idea you should be.
Yep, exactly.
You can deal with this when you're not clear or when there is confusion. You can see that you see the confusion clearly. It's clearly confusing, you know. It's like it can be in all the realms. It can be in the thought, like I don't know what. You can really see that I have no idea what's happening, you know, or it can be in the body, you know, like you have no idea what's happening, you know. But it is clear. The
Yeah,
confusion is clearly seen.
Your starting point is clarity.
Always
Like
start always
yeah,
there. forget about doing something to get there. I was there, I was not there. No, this is clarity. End of the story. And after these things happening and you can be sensitive and speak about it, it's fine. But always start with clarity. Because it's the only thing that's here, ultimately. So why not start with what is here? And I really mean this think of authority. It's very important, I think, where you are also, because you will start to feel things very more subtle, and speaking about it will be more and more difficult because people have different language, come from different things and understanding. And you have to be very, your experience and your conclusions are the only thing that has value to you.
So retain your own authority, David, is what you're saying.
Always, yeah. Because otherwise you will always move. You know, with us, you will feel enlightened. And after you go to a meeting and they speak about light, or light is painting, and they have vision, they're like, I have no vision. Maybe I didn't. And you are again some kind of imagination, you know. You have, you have to be your own authority. Because it makes sense, because at some point it's so subtle that you cannot really speak about what's going on. It's really between you and yourself.
Yeah, I remember Eddie Shanti saying at one point, most people never learn to stand on their own 2 feet. That's what you're pointing at for me.
Yeah. Because what you're speaking about is unthinkable. So no one will never convince you of anything. And you have no access to other experience. So you are left with what at the end?
Mm.
So while all of that is true and important, also recognize that there is no such thing as authority. There is no such thing as autonomy. But that doesn't negate the other stuff. It's also true.
Yeah, the words more point to, I'll say it this way, the words point to stay home in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And trust what you find there above everything else, you know?
It's reminding me of a long time ago. I had this retreat thing, and I had this mapacha drink. It's from the grandfather tobacco, and I just felt like a mountain grounded into the ground, unmovable. And this feels like that.
Dennis, what happened to
Without
the
going
sense of I?
What happened to the sense of I?
Yeah.
To be honest, Ramesh, I haven't thought about it until you raised it.
Did that question provoke a new feeling?
No, it kind of, I want to be sensitive to the question, but I'm not really in the mood to even entertain it or go looking for it or start to have a conversation about it. It's just sound trying to evoke a reaction or thoughts. It just
So-
feels dead.
I would say it is a new feeling, and it's a feeling that you get that says, "Oh, that's all irrelevant to this."
That's another way of putting it, Vince. I feel like saying, what eye? What are you talking about? What eye?
Yeah, exactly. Let's read the story of the Three Bears or Humpty Dumpty or something. That's got about the same level of credibility.
Yeah, when Ramed said it, it was just the experience was just sound. In other words, that was the level of provocation that was felt here. Sound, as opposed to maybe tomorrow when someone says, I or whatever, you could have a different reaction and chain effect through the mind.
Yeah.
It's not getting picked up here.
But I saw Mrs. question as another way of saying, Dennis, can you appreciate how different I is now to what it was yesterday or before? Am I on the mark there, Rames? Was that your intention? He shrugs his
So.
shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is a
more
good
about
way
where's
of
your problems
rephrasing it.
now.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying.
I said, go ahead.
There's obviously a lag, Paul. I was just saying Ramed was kind of saying, where's your problems now, Dennis? Sorry, I'm done. Paul, go on.
I was saying the way Vince rephrased the question was interesting. I'd like your perspective on it, unless you just don't want to go there. Does I mean a different thing to you now than it did when you started the inquiry?
Well, I don't recall starting the inquiry with it from an I, but that aside, it just feels like when you're saying is a I different now, it feels like you're asking me to try and locate an I and see how it's affecting things here. And I just don't have an interest in that right now. I'm just here.
It's actually a good answer. Part
Like
of
it's like,
seeing
oh,
through
there's an eye.
part of seeing
Yeah,
through
there's
the
an eye
illusion
on the
is not
ground.
being interested in it anymore.
Well, I can say for now, right now, I'm not interested in it. That's all I can say.
Okay.
You work for an insurance company.
Yeah, I have this sneaky suspicion we think we're eyeing a lot, and in reality, if we were to eye as much as we thought we were eyeing, we'd probably be dead or severely messed up. And it's only eyeing happens a bit throughout the day, but when we are eyeing, we think we've been eyeing all the time, and that's just part of the delusion. But in reality, if we were to eye all the time, it would be fucking hell.
Mm.
Is that
That's perfectly sensible here. Yeah. Yeah, that's another illusion that we have, this thing about continuity, about, I guess that might involve time, but you know, there's this impression we have that there was a before and a now and an after, and it's all connected somehow. But it's another illusion. There is no continuity. There is only the sense of continuity. And yeah, and it gets mind-boggling. How can it be when there is only now? Because that's and now and now and now, and even that gives an idea of a continuity, but it's just not real.
It's so beautiful what you say, because it's so true that when a thought arises, it always contains this sense of it was always there and will always be there. And I am doing deep exploration of sensation. It's so amazing to see that the whole body can disappear. In movement, you can move, and the whole body can disappear, you know. And when one part of the body appear again, like an arm, the sense is this arm was always there, and this arm will be there forever. But the fact is, the experience of the arm disappear, you know. But every experience, when it appear, it always feel like it was always that way, and it will always be that way. Which, when you feel an arm, which can be neutral, but when it's pain or emotion, it contains a different taste. But it's very, very interesting what you're sharing right now, and it can be you can really go deep with it.
Yeah, because I would have had the thought, let's say a week ago, that this suffering, and I've been searching for 20 years, and the whole thought in a 30-second or 10-second ramble in that moment creates 20 years of suffering and searching and forsakenness and all these problems. But in reality, it's just in that moment that there's a real contraction, and it feels like it's been forever. But then I was imagine when you wake up, you realize, no, you really only had a 600 2-minute thought that you thought your whole life was miserable, but it was only like 2 days worth of thinking, really. And then you go, oh, actually things were great.
But these are what's happening. That's what Louise was sharing at the beginning. Like there is a sensation that feel that it was always there, it will always be there, and there's a feeling of stuckness.
Yeah.
And there is a different way to approach it.
But I love that whole thing, when you can't get clear in one area, go to a different area. Like if you're lost in thoughts, go to seeing or go to listening sound. And there's something about, it's the same in massage. When someone's trying to massage this way on a finger or whatever, and they can't get the joint to release, they'll do a different way to get that release. It's the same with the kind of the senses. You can use one to kind of get clear about another one. And that bit where the penny really dropped, David, when you said, notice the eyes and the straining and the senses and so on. The senses are completely separate to seeing until the mind comes in and tries to mix them all together in a cake. No, that's all connected, and it's not. None of them are connected right now for me.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing that we can do really at the beginning is to differentiate, to learn to differentiate between the different field of experience. It doesn't seem like much at the beginning. You say, of course, it's a sensation, of course, this is a thought, of course, this is that. But this is superficially. When you really start to really feel like, oh my God, this is really like two different fields that kind of overlap, but they're not causal. You know, it's very interesting. You can really enter into some very psychedelic event.
And I imagine, am I imagining? I don't know. But the idea that we're working with 5 senses, 6, whatever, thought, sound, taste. So again, this is still a sort of conceptual thing that who knows how many of those senses or input methods could exist or actually exist, because the body's not real, and there is no body, and there is no brain. The question is, how could we be limited to 5 senses, really? It's a question more than...
But the thing is, you are not limited by those 5 senses. And even if you have 10,000 ways of experiencing, they're not really limitations. Because if you dive deep into any experience, you find infinity, literally. If you take one little sound that like doesn't seem like much, like I have a fan here, it's sweet, you stay with it. The mind says nothing, just noise, you know, just be focused on something else. So if you stay with it, it kind of shifts more, and you kind of dive into some weird, undefinable, very strange experience. So it is the mind that kind of contain everything. Some seems small, but the smallness, it's an imposition, but it is not needed. That's why exploring limitation is also very, very interesting.
Also, a limitation implies like there is something outside the limitation, like, and it can be considered also like you have more than one sense to experience. Like you have more dimensions to the experience, so it's more actually rich.
Yeah. For me, where the way I'm speaking more and more, I'm talking more about sensitivity. More and more, there are 2 words that come up: it's sensitivity and appreciation. This is almost the only issue we are having. We lack a lot of sensitivity to appreciate what is actually here, and because we don't because we don't have the sensitivity to taste the richness of what is actually present, the absolutely amazingness that is here, the fullness. We don't appreciate it, so we go back into imagination because we feel that imagination is more exciting. There is more there.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's important to develop sensitivity and appreciation. And that's why in my own experience, I'm finding myself more and more doing physical exploration, because I just find that being with sensation, it's really enjoyable. It's so interesting, like to really feel a movement, you know, just feel the movement. And for the mind, it's kind of, it's nothing to do, you know, just go to there, from there, just think about objective and all of that, you know, about to reach some kind of destination constantly. When you move, the first thing that the mind goes, if I tell you, put your hands up, right? The first thing the mind wants to go, it's right in there. It wants to arrive. But if you explore the movement, it's very, very interesting. And it doesn't seem like much at the beginning, can even be boring, but if you keep at it, you really fall into appreciation. Just having a sensation, any sensation, it's really mind blowing.
I think though, David, it's a state of being that affords you the appreciation for that kind of stuff. I'm reminded of years ago after my brother died, and I don't know exactly what way I was, but I just remember a time where there was a love and a reverence for just being able to walk up the stairs or to sit down and have a cup of tea. Like that was enough. That was plenty in life to have that. So it's like a relaxed way of being, or a paring back, or a peeling back of things. I was trying to test this clarity or calmness here, and the talk came up about, okay, well, what about work tomorrow and work in general? Because work has been a thing that's been generating emotions and concerns and sensations and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just running the thoughts across my mind about work. And all the other thoughts that come with it. I have to survive, I have to earn money, I have to, there's the whole army gets up together and starts march. Yeah.
It happened to me, and when it happened, I'm asking the question: is it happening right now? And if it is not happening, what is actually here? And I try to refocus on what is here, because often this movement, it's kind of a movement to go into imagination, because there is some kind of painful sensations or sensation that I don't like it. So I just go into imagination, because that's how I will solve it, right? But so I'm just trying to refocus constantly.
My approach was to run the video and see how it affected here. Whereas what you're saying is don't run the video, not here, leave it.
Yeah. I mean, both are very good. Some will say, yeah, you kind of take the thought and you feel it and you process it. It's fine. But now I'm more like, why even bother? Just like Rami's question, did I like, why?
The sense of why
even?
The sense of why bother is because, well, I know it's another idea, but if it returns, it'll keep returning, and it'll keep reacting to it. So run it while you have some space and clarity, and see how it evokes sensation and energies and tinglings in the body, and just notice all that, and then stay here. And it's kind of like you're rinsing it out, or you're taking away its power by doing that. But I don't know if that's true. I'm just talking.
Oh, it's perfect.
Playing, yeah.
You do what is right for you. I mean, it's
and who's got control about what comes up anyway? So do you think it's possible that if you find yourself in the midst of chaos and tension at work tomorrow, that you'll be able to run a play of this clarity? Do the inverse to what you're doing now? So you're in the clarity and you're running a play of work, What about being in the work and running the play of clarity? Do you think that would?
Yeah, I imagine I can anchor back into seeing quite quickly. And that will expose all the thoughts and worries and bullshit as to what they are if I don't see them clearly. The seeing anchor will help me see them.
Yep, yep. And of course, you'll get better and better and better at that kind of stuff with practice.
Yeah, I'm quietly excited. Then I think I've been here before.
Yeah.
You have to be very vigilant, do you?
Well, you don't control that kind of stuff. You are or you're not. Or you're somewhere in between.
I see what you're doing. I'm trying to grab a hold of them and you're just pulling my fingers off.
Yeah. Well, the problem with being very vigilant is that you beat yourself up when you're not.
Mm.
Or even when you are, you go, I hope I can keep it. So, you know, be relaxed as if you can, as if you can do anything you tell yourself. Yeah.
Can the I thought be vigilant?
No, it's probably the most dead thing that there is. It's like, can a dead rat be vigilant?
That's a good one. Yeah.
But this is why I was saying not all to memory, because if some maybe right now you are some kind of in a very nice state, right? And after you go to work, and when you're at work, you see, but yesterday I was feeling some very nice, but now I'm not feeling. So this is memory again. You have made a thing of this silence, you know, of this experience, and you're in memory. That's why I encourage you to never speak about really your enlightenment experience. Don't speak about it to no one. Don't make it a story. Don't make it an event that you can hold and have to write a book about. You don't need to. Memory is really dead.
Yeah, but like, okay, there's a couple of things here. When you first talked about, you were talking about being vigilant, you know, as it's been here. But what Vince said and what I'm feeling is you're not talking to the ego or the me to be vigilant. You're talking past that, and that'll either get picked up or it won't. But then the next piece was this enlightenment experience. There's been no enlightenment experience.
No.
I cringe to even think about saying to people, "Oh, I had an enlightenment experience." That feels like total bullshit.
Yep. Okay, well, good. Welcome. Yeah, there you go. So that's a very enlightened thing to say. It's only people who are not enlightened that kind of even use the word and talk about what it might be like. Okay, once you get there, it's just a joke, isn't it? The whole thing is fucking ridiculous. What are you talking about? Enlightenment, waking up. What is that?
I can go back into my thinking and go, yeah, well, I haven't had that shift yet. But right now, from clarity, none of that really matters.
That's right. It's totally irrelevant from clarity.
But you say from thought and from clarity, but there is only clarity, and sometimes there's a thought appearing and it's saying things.
Yes.
I know that this was what you meant, but if you start to think and speak the way I'm telling you, it can support you, detaching yourself from thinking.
like the thought I'm awake or I've had an awakening has so much stuff, baggage attached to it. It's just, it's kind of like saying I'm brilliant, I'm perfect. It just feels, ugh.
Yeah, it's ego bullshit.
Yeah,
So the only time it's even relevant to consider it would be if you want a shorthand way of communicating something, and you would never do that to an unawakened person because they don't know what the hell you're talking about because they've only got their own fantasy. And there's no reason to do it with an awakened person. So it's just doesn't happen anymore, you know. There's this whole thing. So what you can talk about is from an experiential level, and again, talking about it has very limited value, but you can imagine it. You can have the story or the concept of I have a different perspective on life now. But even that makes it sound like it's fixed or it's a static thing, and of course it's not. It's a constantly changing, fluctuating in and out, there and not there, ever evolving kind of thing. So it's even to say I have a different perspective on life is a limited thing. You can say there are moments when perspective is different. That's probably a better explanation or description. And maybe when you start looking at it, the closer you get it, the more ridiculous it comes to put any words to it.
yeah, it feels like I could say there's clarity.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's not perfect, but
Yeah, and it does. I get what you mean, although I have no idea what your experience of it is. But I get something from that word that you use. Yeah. And my response to that is that it sounds like a good place. It sounds wonderful. I like the idea of it.
yeah, and it doesn't feel wonderful. It doesn't feel like anything. It feels clear. But that doesn't mean I'm not open to the possibility of wonderful things happening or wonderful experience, whatever, life being wonderful. And
Yep.
I've heard all the stories that people talk about, but this is just,
Yeah, it kind of has a neutral.
The neutral place, neutral.
Yep.
Clarity.
Yep.
Here you're able to deal with whatever life throws at you.
Yeah.
From here you're able to respond. From here you're able to just relax.
Yep.
It's like your starting point.
Yeah. And there are other elements to it that I imagine that might be the case, and one of those might be that there are no questions in this place. It's not because I know everything I need to know. It's because I don't need to know anything, but there are no questions.
That's what I was just about to say. I don't want to know anything. Just
exactly.
Don't come near me with anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess there's a certain feeling of fragility about it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a mistaken
that's
response would be to try and hold on to it, to try and protect it. But that's not appropriate.
I have a question. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. In the past 20, 30 minutes, there's been a bunch of chaos happening in my mind. There's something to express or ask a question, but then there's a lot of mental masturbation happening. of asking the question and how to respond and all of the anticipation happening. And I think it goes back to this is my interpretation that I'm adding to a sensation, but wanting to be heard and seen, but at the same time, there's this wanting to not come off as not knowing or not in control.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating, and there's a big sensation happening. And yeah, I don't know what the question was, but
Can you find what triggered that chaotic experience?
not really. It was a memory, or like an interpretation I had how I used to think, but don't speak as much. So the story that I am a silent person and I should not be a silent person, something like that. And that's what sort of triggered it, and it was push and pull. I don't know what that was, but like struggling. What should I do? Should I not respond? Should I talk about this and investigate the felt sense? Or is that a way of escaping what's happening? A lot of thoughts. Yeah.
Mm. The word should is really a great trigger for recognizing that you're lost in storyland. Yeah. And of course, it brings with it the idea that anything that follows the word should is just a bunch of rubbish. But the recognition that this stuff can get a hold and start running indicates that there is still some belief about the existence of an I. Yeah. And if that then triggers more shoulds, there shouldn't be. We kind of go around in circles a little bit here, but essentially it's a cascade effect. You know, that one thing triggers the next thing, triggers the next thing, triggers, and on it goes. You know, can you find what Dennis is talking about? That sense of clarity. I know you've experienced it. Can you find it again now?
Yeah.
Just takes a deep breath, doesn't it? And then back it comes. Yeah. And from that place, a really light-hearted curiosity about, I wonder what went on there. What was all that selfing stuff about? Right? Not looking for an answer, just a recognition that there it is. Yeah. And you know, pretty quickly you find yourself back in that beautiful, calm, open clarity again. And if that curiosity about what happened has a certain more, how can I put it, a certain seriousness about it, then it might suggest that there's something to work on. Just simply the recognition that it happened usually would be enough to dissolve it in the way it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
If it keeps coming back, then yeah, let's do some work on it. But
Awesome. Thank you. Also, another question that pops up is, when I stay in this clarity, after a while, sort of panicking happens. Like sensations get really big, and I breathe very fast, and the first, I still watch a lot of Simply Always Awake, Angelo, and what he speaks about is being in the clarity and the fear arising sometimes, and you stay with the clarity without clinging to thought. And my interpretation of the was actually the fear, and I think that was really intense for me to try to like not look at it. I guess my question is, what do I do about the panicking?
Just to add to your point, because I was listening to Angelo today, and I heard him say the opposite. He was talking to someone about post-awakening and when fear arises and you become that fear. There's no movement away from it. You are the fear. It's intense. It's not somebody feeling fear. It's just your fear. And he said that's
Yeah.
perfectly.
I think I guess if I were to differently, I think you were talking about the fear. But usually when I feel fear, I have like a mental image of where the fear is sensed and all of that. And there's like a thought that I believe in. When I do it now, sort of, I guess, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah.
It's more intense.
Yeah, so the whole purpose of being in clarity is not clinging to thought, and it's very easy not to cling to thought when you're in that space. So every time the mind sort of goes back into the body and tries to see where the sensation is and to control it, I quickly sort of, I don't do anything, but it sort of goes back to the clarity, and eventually gets super big, the sensation in the body, and the breathing intensifies. It's not like I'm feeling the sensation. It's like I'm not forming any thoughts about it. I'm not sure if I'm even making sense, or I'm not sure if I even believe what I'm saying correctly.
I think I can resonate with what you're saying, because two things. Just a couple of seconds ago, as you were beginning to speak, I could feel this sense of energeticness in the body that I could label excitement and fear, and I could call it both: excited energy, fear. And I remember an experience years ago where there was the sense of I was pushed miles away, and there was just presence. And after that, there was a tremendous fear and excitement together. So it's like something's got out of the way, and now there's a flush of energy moving that's been interpreted as excitement or fear, but there's still that clarity that's not affected, and that stuff will just flush, is my sense.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I sort of thought that the panicky feeling was fear, and it'll just go away. So I stayed with it for 10, 12 minutes, but it got super, I tried this like multiple times, and every time it would get super intense, like not, let's say I'm doing normal reactivity work, it doesn't get, never gets that intense. Yeah. So I guess the fear is coming back in a health concern. What if something is actually going to happen to me if I stay with a panicky feeling?
Mm.
Yeah, the only other comment I have is I'm reminded of what Adyashanti said in scenarios like this, that you can ask to experience 50% of this for 2 minutes or 30% of this for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the universe will usually oblige.
Very good, because I'm not sure if it will even come up next time. The panicky feeling. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
So, like,
how often it
very-
comes is quite telling. So this is a fairly regular experience for you, or an occasional one? Pretty regular.
regular. Yeah. It takes a few minutes, like 45 minutes of like, or sometimes 30 minutes of like very clear one-pointedness, and then that starts happening and that's gone.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
And it's fear.
I'm not sure if it's fear or not. It's like panicky. I thought it was fear. I'm not sure if it's, I guess it's fear. I'm scared of something.
Well, how do you, then I'm interested in your definition of panic, I guess, because I always thought
Yeah.
it was interchangeable with fear of something. You panic that something's going to happen. You have a fear that something's going to happen. Am I misinterpreting your, is that a fair interpretation?
I guess panicky was more of a, what I thought was, it was like a medical condition that was, that I cannot like sleep through or feel it through. So I thought it was like something I cannot do anything about.
Well, the symptoms of
Doesn't-
panic are your heart's beating rapidly, your breathing increases, your palms may get sweaty, you get a contracted feeling, you get a feeling of maybe wanting to run away. Isn't that fear?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it the fear is protecting, or what is it you will lose that you are afraid of losing? What is the fear protecting?
How do you want me to explore that? How can I know that?
Well, there will be a thought come up. There will be a thought come up into consciousness. Something will be lost from experience if
Life.
something happens. So what is that thought that comes up? What is the loss that will be experienced that brings on the fear of that coming true? Is there a certain thought or thoughts?
I think I can't tell for sure if I'm stopping the fear voluntarily, or is it like me completely stopping it involuntarily? Stopping.
No, but I'm not asking you if you're stopping it or trying to stop it. The fear is based on the loss of something deeply personal. Is there a thought that comes up? I will lose this if something happens. Is there an object or something about you that a thought that comes up, this will be lost if something happens. It will be something about you, some quality, even some quality about you. Is there some quality about you that you're afraid will be lost if something happens?
Oh, I've lost your audio.
You lost your audio. Your mic went out. Still out. Your video's there. Audio's still out. Can you hear me? Nod your head. Okay, well, your audio is still out, but your video's here.
Yeah, I think I should be audible.
You're back now.
Okay, it's back. It's back. Okay, so what is the loss?
A good technique is grab the first thought that turns up. Don't think about it. Just the very first thought that turns up.
Oh,
Oh, it's out again. Your plug's a bit shaky.
Went out. Still out.
He's just avoiding the question.
Oh, no, he might be, but it's simpler than that. It's still out. Still out. Still out.
hi guys, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's my computer's mic broken. Yeah.
And there you froze up again.
You still there?
Noticing that I am sort of, something's happening to me. Maybe I'm dying or something bad is happening to me and I'm breathing fast and there's like an image of my face. That's what's coming up. That's what I can
Okay.
remember.
So you're afraid of dying if something happens. Okay, so what is the something happening that would cause you to die? What do you imagine? What is the event?
The event is the panicking that is happening during that. That is what causes it.
No, but the panic and the fear is the fear of dying. What is the event that's going to bring on the dying? The panic is the result. What is the cause?
I really cannot find it. The cause for me dying, panicking is the result.
Correct.
But it's after a few moments of being in the panicking, the thoughts came up. Sort of.
What were those thoughts?
Those thoughts were the maybe this is getting too intense. Maybe this is out of limits. Maybe
So you have some fear of waking up, this process. Is that it? That somehow waking up is the death of you?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't think if I specifically believe if waking up is the death of me, but I feel like there's part of me that will go away. I really couldn't observe what's happening thought-wise during that time. Maybe I should try
You said
again.
something about the me, that the me going away. Is that what you said?
Yeah, but I don't feel any real fear now. Like me going away seems fine now, but yeah, I mean that does not mean anything. Yeah, there's I don't know really what's happening. Yeah. I'm not
But you do
scared of
you do see now that the fear is the result and there's something triggered it. In other words, the fear isn't triggering something else. You see that something else, a thought, a sense of loss or something, an idea is triggering the fear?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's something. You just have to find the trigger. If it's something to do with this process you're in, it's very common for fear to come up. I don't know of anybody who's died from waking up, but me telling you that it's not going to do any good. I mean, maybe it will, but all I can tell you is seeing through the illusion of self is not a death. It's simply the loss of a belief.
Yeah. The thing is, it's really hard to pinpoint what part am I scared of losing. Because at that moment, in that clarity, I wasn't really paying attention to the thoughts coming up. I'm not sure if that's just a belief, but usually, let's say we are working with wanting to be seen or like regular reactivity, it's very clear that there's like
You're kind of getting garbled. Maybe get closer to the microphone.
Very tight yes. Oh, okay. Is it better
Yeah.
if I get close like this?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if I were to it's not like normal reactivity work. I can't, this may be just a belief, but I can't really remember or see what the intention is or what my thought process is in that space. Unlike now, if I work with, okay, wanting to prove myself, it's very clear what the intention or what the emotional residue is or what's happening and what the thought process story is, but it's not very clear what's happening with thought in that space. Is what I think. Are you understanding? Am I audible?
I understand what you're saying. You can't exactly pinpoint what it is that's triggering the fear. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's just the point of the conversation here is for you to start noticing, to notice that, to even if it takes a moment when the fear comes on, to just stop for a moment and try to back up. What was it? And whenever you find what that thing is, that particular trigger, and it may be more than one, but it may just be one particular thought or something in your environment, even to back up. If you can get a moment of clarity, back up and see what the trigger is, and then just start trying to figure out why that's triggering you for that. And this is kind of drifting over into the field of psychology, but and I'm just an armchair psychologist, but I'm just saying I know a little bit about fear from having studied it. Just try to find a moment of clarity when it happens and look back. What was I doing? What was I seeing? What was I hearing? Go to the senses of what was happening before the fear came up, and maybe you'll find your answer.
I see. Yeah. One more.
Get closer.
Maybe the fear arose, but yeah. Okay. Maybe the fear arose. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the fear arose because I was trying to not cling to a thought, like force myself to not cling to a thought, force myself to not see the fear, sort of. Like in that space, you're seeing thoughts come up and they're going, and it's the clarity again, and then there's sensations happening in the body, and there's thoughts wanting to interpret what's happening in the body, and I keep going back to the clarity and not wanting to see where the fear is. I'm not sure how to even explain this.
Right.
But yeah,
Well,
maybe
when you say clinging to thoughts, there's nothing to cling to thoughts. Thoughts can't cling. Clinging to thought is just another thought. I am clinging to thought is another thought. Thoughts can't cling. So so clinging to thought is a thought no different than any other thought. It's just doesn't really mean anything. There's no one to cling to a thought. Thoughts just happen. And the thought, I am clinging to thoughts, just shows up sometimes. It could equally show up as I am not clinging to thoughts right now. I'm eating breakfast or I'm eating lunch and I'm not clinging to thoughts right now. Both are equally meaningless when you really look at them.
I don't think at that moment I was thinking that specifically. I don't think there was any thoughts really. I'm not sure though. Like it's really hard to explain what was happening.
Well, it's what we were kind of talking about earlier. There's no authority. There's no thought that has authority. In other words, the thought, I am clinging to thoughts or I am rejecting thoughts. There's no authority there. In other words, there's no one to say that thought really means anything, either of those thoughts. They're just thoughts coming and going. And the fact that there seems to be some sensation associated with them doesn't make them more important. You follow? When you say, I am clinging to thoughts, if there's a sensation or emotion with it, that doesn't mean that it's true that there's clinging to thoughts going on. It's just another thought coming and going. You following?
Yeah. But yeah. At that moment specifically, I wasn't thinking even that thought of, am I clinging to thought or not? I'm not sure.
Well, just notice that you're.
Maybe I should
there's
just keep
no
trying.
weight. There's no
right
particular
now,
weight. There's no particular
to cling
weight
to thought.
to any thought. To put it another way, no thought has any more weight than another.
I was just going to add something from my perspective. It feels like when you're in that moment and the fear is there, or that sensation we're calling fear, there's a resistance to it. And you can't just decide not to resist it. It's fear, you're resisting it. And I know from having about 500 panic attacks over the years that all the strategizing in the world didn't help, but a sort of an eventual knowing that this is normal, this is happening, this will subside, this isn't to be resisted, and the way through it is by going through it, and a sort of a trust at a deeper level that it's just an experience, it's not going to kill me, and to allow it to the degree you can. Each time there might be a little bit less resistance, but that deeper knowing that it's okay and it doesn't need to be labeled, it doesn't need to be resisted. But you'll still resist it a bit.
Yeah. So
yeah, yeah, sorry.
there you go.
I think what Paul said was actually, yeah, I see that. Yeah, there's no way to bring. So why do I try to not get attached to thought in that space? It's definitely very not matching up, because me trying to not bring to thought in that space sort of indicates that thoughts are in my control. They're not really.
Yep. Yeah. So the instruction would be relax and observe.
Yep.
And if it we can focus on it and work more directly with it if it keeps coming back, but just relax and observe for the moment to see what you can notice about it. So the more detail you can see, the more subtle that detail gets, the more tools you've got to work with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think there may be beliefs here about this clarity being different and there being a process here and there's something to do, and like stopping clinging to thought is definitely a belief, like trying to do something. Yeah.
So notice
there's like
notice also the stories that come up and the judgments about your experience. So you have an experience, then you have a story comes up about that, and then you judge the story as being good or bad or whatever. And because it spirals off pretty quickly. So by just simply watching in a agnostic way, objectify the situation and watch it, observe it, that gives you information to work with. Yeah. Or it can do dissolving by itself, just simply that. But if it keeps coming back, then it's resting on something that we need to look at. Yeah. Okay, people.
I think this was a bit of clarity. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. We'll chase it up. I'll get a report next time we see you.
Yeah. I think I took you breakfast.
I was thinking I was going tomorrow to get this off, but it turns out I'm going this morning. So I'm going to have to move it a bit to get ready. So it's a celebratory thing for me to get this bloody thing off. Yeah.
Good for you. See everybody next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.